Pac-12. So let's get into it. Daniel, right away, what will Stanford's record be in 2020? Let's break it down game by game.
I don't want to pick that last game because I'm too scared of what may happen in the South. But I can tell you, Stanford will go 5-1 in the 6 games that we know of. And here is my path to get there. And I know it sounds insane. We all look at Stanford. We see the 4-8 record last year. It was the end of an era. David Shaw needs to be fired. I'm going to tell you, none of that is going to be said this year. Here's why. Stanford against Oregon in that opener, it's going to be a loss. I'm sorry. Stanford's just not there right now this year. Haven't had the preseason. But every other game on their schedule is going to be a win. And we'll go through it a little bit more, but my path is here. Colorado and Washington State, both at home. I think those are 2 must-win games, obviously, but 2 games that Stanford will win, that they should be favored in, that they can get the job done in. Then going up to Cal. Honestly, not sure about that game. It's just a gut pick because I think these 2 teams are too close right now to be able to really tell the difference between them. So I don't know, but I'll give the edge to Stanford. Because for the first time in really 10 years, teams are really that close. We don't know. And then, with a lot of momentum, going up to Washington, a team they beat last year, not going to have fans in the stadium. Going to win that game too, and then you know what? Finishing the season off against Oregon State, another dub. 5-1 Stanford. I'm calling it right now.
Absolutely hate being the pessimist. I love that all the fans are gonna love you because you're telling them what they want to hear. Stanford fans, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. Stanford is not on pace to go 5-1 this season. I really hope they surprise me, but I see the Cardinal at 3-3 this year. And I think that they're going to beat a team they're not supposed to beat, and they're going to lose to a team they probably shouldn't lose to. Here's how I have it broken down. I also give Stanford an L in that Oregon game, but I think it's going to be a close game, and I think that's a winnable game for Stanford. Oregon is very good. They're extremely talented. But they're missing a lot. At this point, they're replacing their entire offensive line, 3 out of 4 defensive backs. The defense will still be salty, but I don't know if it's going to be the unit that people were saying it would be preseason. And on the other side, the offense is a total question mark. But I'm still going to give that game to Oregon because I don't trust Stanford to go into Eugene, even without fans, and come out and beat a more talented team. So then I also have Stanford beating Colorado. I think that'll be a pretty easy win, frankly. A bit of a warm-up game for the Cardinal. I think Colorado is going to be really bad this year under a new coaching staff, and Stanford should take advantage of that. They should win at home, as we see them do most often. Then I'm going to pick an upset against Stanford the next week against Washington State. I don't think Washington State's going to be great this year, but I think they're going to be pretty good. And Mike Leach or no, Washington State has had Stanford's number recently. Nick Rolovich is a good coach. I think he's going to operate a good system. And based on what we've seen from Mike Leach at at Mississippi State over the past couple weeks, maybe Washington State is better off without him. And we know that Washington State never ran the ball under Leach, and they have a very good running back in Mac Borghi. I just think that Wazoo is going to surprise some people, and that's going to include David Shaw and the Cardinal in Stanford Stadium on November 21st. Then, the Cal game. Daniel, I've been hyping up Cal quite a bit on this show, and, it's against my better judgment. It really hurts me to do so, but I'm with you. We are winning big game in 2020. We're not starting off a losing streak that I think could really spiral given the way Cal is trending upwards, Stanford's trending downwards. I don't think David Shaw is going to let that happen. I don't think Davis Mills is going to let that happen. I like Chase Garbers. Davis Mills at his best is a lot better than Chase Garbers. And I think at that point in the season, Stanford will have found his footing. I'm going to give them a win. And the best part about it is we'll talk about what I expect for Cal outside of that, but I think Stanford's really going to play spoiler for the Bears. Then, going on the road to Washington. That's an automatic L for me. Until I see Stanford be able to win in Seattle, I'm not going to trust them to do it. I think that Washington is a similar position to Oregon. They're a team that has a lot of talent, more talent than Stanford, that has been a more successful program over the past few years. And so even though I don't think they're going to be great this year, I'm going to trust them to be good enough to beat Stanford at home. Then coming home for a game against Oregon State, that's not easy. Oregon State is an improved team. I'm still going to give the Cardinal the win. So that's where I get the 3-3, though I think they would be in great position to pick up a 4th win in that 7th week of play.
So I'm disagreeing in the two places. We know where those are. I don't see Stanford losing to Washington State. I just don't. I think there's too much that is new there. I don't necessarily think Mike Leach was the best for them, but I can't say that Nick Rolovich will be that much better. I don't think that necessarily is a program that is one of the top programs in the Pac-12. And Stanford historically in these past 10 years has been. And I think Stanford still has that edge for me, especially in Stanford Stadium. And then your point about going up to Washington is completely valid in any other year. This isn't any other year, right? No fans in the stands. We talked about that last week. And then on top of that, you say they're in a similar place to Oregon, but Oregon doesn't have a new head coach. Washington does. And again, I think that's a lot of turnover for a team, right, to deal with in their first year. I think there's going to be ups and downs. And right now, that down is going to be against Stanford in week 5 as the Cardinal find a way to victory.
Listen, I like everything you're saying, and I agree with you that the continuity of staff is an advantage in this pandemic year. But I still just trust Jimmy Lake in Washington to a higher degree than I do Stanford at this point. Jimmy Lake has been there, and he has been an incredibly successful defensive coordinator. It's not like they're going to be rewriting the playbook with him as a head coach. It'll be interesting to see what they do offensively, but Washington's going to be really good. I think that last year's 8-5 record, where they were supposed to be a lot better than that, kind of soured us to the Huskies, and certainly soured the national media. There's a reason Washington's not ranked in the preseason top 25. I think they're going to be a top 25 level team, and I'm not sure that's where Stanford is at this point. And then for the Wazoo game, that's more going out on a limb. I'm going to pick Stanford to win in a spot that they shouldn't win and lose in a spot where they shouldn't lose. David Shaw usually is very steady, beats the teams he should beat, loses to the ones he shouldn't. But I think in this pandemic year, you just don't know what to expect. I mean, look what we've seen in college football already, the amount of upsets, the amount of parity week to week. One week, a team looks amazing. The next week, they look like they're not going to win another game. And I'm afraid that Stanford's not going to be immune to the 2020 COVID effects, and that's where that Wazoo game was coming from. But I do think, to me, the upside is more on the good side, not the bad side for the Cardinal. I would be much more likely to pick them to go 4-2, 5-1 than I would to pick them to go 1-5 or 2-4. I'm just landing that solid 3-3 because I'm boring, and the hat indicates, I'm an Atlanta sports fan. I've seen it all. I can't trust. I can't love anymore, and so I just checked the score, Daniel. We're looking at 1-1 right now, but I am fully confident the Dodgers will be pulling out a victory tonight.
Actually, Austin Riley just hit a home run. So Dodgers down 2-1 at the moment. A little bit of an issue there. But I think, and I totally agree with you, that Stanford is more likely to end on that 5-1, 4-2 side. There's a lot to trust in this team. And I do think Stanford, out of all of the craziness, is in a really good spot. I wrote about it for the Daily. I said Davis Mills is the perfect quarterback for the situation because he's so calm and collected. And I think that permeates to the entire team, and especially in the coaching staff. Just a very well put together staff and a team that believes, right? This is still a team that says its mission this year is to go out and win the conference, hope to get to a Rose Bowl, right? They're still a team that believes that they're the class of the Pac-12 and that every game is winnable. And that, as you said, David Shaw is known to win the games he's expected to win. This team expects to win every single game. And that's why I think they go out and really perform much higher than the national media or even local media has expected them to this season.
I definitely hope that's going to be the case. And I think your piece in the Daily really highlights the key reason why Stanford has more upside than most teams. It is Davis Mills. Davis Mills was ranked ahead of Tua Tagovailoa in the recruiting rankings. And yes, recruiting rankings don't mean everything, but he played in Georgia high school football where there is a lot of talent, and he was able to succeed at an incredibly high level. And so there's something there. And we saw it in flashes last season. There's a chance he could break out and become the Pac-12's best quarterback. If that is the case, then Stanford is going to be trending towards that 5-1 season you're predicting. But I did see too much inconsistency from Davis Mills last season, so I'm thinking he's more of a above average, like number 3 quarterback in the Pac-12, number 4 quarterback in the Pac-12, and I don't know if Stanford has enough talent to take that level of quarterback play to anything better than 3-3 or 4-2 kind of record. But